Hey everybody, and welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Wendy.
I'm Dustin.
And in this video, we're going to talk about Cursed, now available on Netflix. And of course, if you saw our trailer reaction, it stars Katherine Langford. It's based on the book Cursed by Frank Miller and Tom Wheeler. But before we get into it, upon its release, which is out right now, I already said it, on Netflix, they also have built this really cool website that's built in some AR experience, and it's at discovercursed.com, which is linked below this videos for you guys to check out. And it's interactive, and it's kind of like a nice way to kind of warm you up to the series, where you can, I mean, you can watch the series and then come back to it, but I like to just kind of jump in feet first.
Yeah.
And is it
Head first?
Sure. Just jump in. So I grabbed my phone and he grabbed his phone, and there's a little AR and like a little quiz that you take and kind of like choose your destiny. Who are you going to be? And you guys can kind of see, as we're talking, you guys can see our photos and our results and things like that. It was pretty cool. Dustin actually did it multiple times.
I did it a few times because it's one of those it's kind of like one of those personalities tests. You know, which one do you choose? This one or this one? Well, now after this, which one do you choose? Yeah. And then it gives you like different filters to take pictures with, and it's pretty cool and interactive.
I got the druid. I looked like Nimue. I was like, ooh, cool. I also like where you can choose to grow, and I was walking around. Like, I was like, can I grow things out of my desk? Can I grow things out of Dustin's leg? Can
grow something out of my head?
Those didn't work for some reason. I wonder if the app was like, no.
No, you're not allowed to do that. It's too violent.
So there's more than just the AR experience as well. You can watch conversations with the cast, with the filmmakers, with Tom Wheeler, read more about the series, the stories. So it's really cool. And go ahead and check that out. Again, it's discovercursed.com, linked below in the description. Now let's move on and talk about the series. Cursed is a reimagination of Arthurian legend told through the eyes of Nimue, who, as we know, later becomes the powerful and tragic Lady of the Lake. To fulfill a dying wish, she is to deliver an ancient sword to Merlin, and on her way meets Arthur. The series stars Katherine Langford, Devon Terrell, Gustav Skarsgård, Daniel Sharman, Sebastian Armesto, Shalom Brun-Franklin, and Lily Newmark. So this isn't a review on the entire series because it literally just came out. So and there's no spoiler in this one. So if you haven't watched the series, don't worry, we're not gonna spoil anything for you. But we did get to watch up to episode 5. And I gotta say, the trailer got me really interested because I hadn't really seen the story, essentially Sword in the Stone.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen it told in this way from the perspective of Nimue. Go ahead.
And it's also really interesting, because it's from the perspective of the Lady in the Lake. So I was really curious to see how are they going to take this storyline, what pieces from the Arthurian legend are they going to keep, which ones are they going to be like, let's twist around a little bit. And it's always fun when you take a story that everybody knows. Everyone's heard of King Arthur and the Sword and the Stone.
And Merlin and Arthur.
And so what can you do to kind of bring new spice to it? And I was excited to see what they were going to do.
You bring in Katherine Langford. What's really cool is her origin and the relationship. What's interesting is like the relationship she has, because she is Fae, but you kind of see, she it's called Cursed for a reason, and to see her from a young age kind of being, we'll say, different.
Yeah.
How people kind of shun her and they call her names, and I was like, but you should treat her, she's one of you, and just kind of to see her grow up like that, and the older she gets, the slightly more jaded she gets, and then now she is tasked to bring the sword of power to Merlin, and now everything's strange, everything is, she has to leave her village, and we already saw this in the trailer, so I don't feel like this is a spoiler. The group of Red Paladins are looking for the Fae people. They're massacring them, and unfortunately Nimue's village was one of the ones that was ransacked, and it was pretty tragic, and that was early on in the episode, and that's how she came into getting the sword and the responsibility, and it's just a really great adventure because I love that she gets to meet Arthur.
Yes.
Because we know what happens with Arthur and the sword and Merlin. And again, this is just so much fun to see it play out in this way. And one of my favorite parts, it's not just seeing like the adventure through Nimwe's eyes, but it's to see what kind of a relationship she is going to have with Arthur and what potentially relationship she's going to have with Merlin.
And that's the thing too, because I'm not 100% familiar with the Arthurian legends and all the nitty gritty details, but
there's a lot.
There's a lot of them. But I do know that the Lady in the Lake and Arthur are supposed to have some kind of I'm not going to say relationship, like romantic relationship, but it is definitely it's like they know each other beforehand.
Yes.
But they never really elaborate on it very much. So it's cool to kind of see this backstory of the Lady in the Lake, of Arthur, very much a retelling of this great legend known as King Arthur, but to know where he came from and kind of just reimagine all of the entire world that they live in at the time. So it has a lot of really good action. It has some really good villains that you just want. You are just full on willing to hate their guts. So
hate them, but also intrigued. Please show me more. Because they've got everybody's got a lot of layers. And that's something I really like about the show, is that not just it's showing us from a different perspective, that it's not sitting entirely on Nimwe's shoulders. Like,
yes,
the way that the show is structured is that you know, within each episode, you get a really good story from each of the characters. Like, not just one person is the star. Like, there's time for Nimwe's development, and then there's Arthur, there's Merlin, there's
her friend that's in there.
Pym is literally my favorite. She is absolutely my favorite.
She's really it's fun. She's not in the trailer very much at all, but she's just friends with Nimue, and how kind of this whole event, all of these events, she just kind of gets swept along for the adventure.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?
I feel like Pym would be me. Like, if I was in that time, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what is this? Because she keeps it real, and
the way
that's
that
what I really like about it.
Yeah, the way that they do all these different characters too it gives me a little bit of Game of Thrones vibes.
Yes, especially sorry to cut you off, but yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, I just got really excited, especially like as each episode go on, it gets juicier and better, and you're just kind of like, next, and I think it's going to be really fun to continue to like binge. Like, now we're on episode 5, and there's going to be 6 and 7 and 8. So make sure you guys come back to this channel once we have finished the show. Then we can give you guys our spoiler review. We can talk about everything, because there is something that happens in episode 5 that I'm just like, wait, what?
It was definitely
subtle.
mid-season cliffhanger.
But it was subtle, though. It was so subtle when this happened, where I was like, wait, what? Did they just...
and they did it very well.
Okay.
They're doing a good job with the dialogue, character development, the fights. The only thing that I'm thinking that would be a little bit of a downer is a little bit of the CGI that they use in some parts. But honestly, since it's more about the characters and more about everything else, you're very willing to be like, okay, you know what, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm so far very excited to see the next 5 episodes of Cursed.
Yeah, and I think something I would like to do after we are done with the series, I want to check out the book.
Yeah,
you know, that's something we always like to do when there's like a book adaptation of something. We have read the book already. We kind of it's natural to kind of want to compare. And in this case, we're gonna go backwards. We've seen the series, and now we're gonna go back. And then one more little thing that I really enjoyed about the series is that they would put really cool graphics and artwork, moving artwork as a transition to transition you from one scene to the next. And I haven't really seen something done like that before, where it almost makes this animation kind of in a way.
Yeah, and I have to admit, there are some times where it's really cool, and they're like, oh, that was an awesome transition, because they also tell you a little bit of what happens afterwards with it. There are some times where I'm a little like, it's a little jarring, but I think overall, it is a really good way to do transitioning scenes.
Yeah. Well, we're enjoying Cursed so far on Netflix. Let us know what you think of the series so far in the comment section below. Name your favorite character. I think we can say 1 or 2 without spoiling it, right?
I think the big 3 characters that I really like are Nimue, Merlin, and Pym.
For me, oh man, that's like 4. Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna use Pym as my honorable mention, because I freaking love her so much. Nimue, Arthur, Weeping Monk.
Weeping Monk. I was wondering if
man.
he's kind of cool. He doesn't do much yet. I mean, he doesn't talk much yet, but he's kind of. I'm curious to see what his history is.
It's one of those things wherever he shows up on your screen, like you're like,
Dun,
what's
dun,
gonna
dun.
exactly that? What's gonna happen? Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our review so far of the series Curse. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.